Hey everyone, welcome back to the IWEP Network, or if it's your first time, welcome hanging out with us. Thank you so much for choosing this podcast, and feedback is always welcome. So make sure to check the links below for all social media links, audio and video versions of this show, and merch. We look forward to hearing from you and hearing that feedback, and enjoy the show. Hey everybody, we are here.
No one's gonna watch because we're not live.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that.
Psych.
Welcome everybody to the podcast. We are back. We're live, and you're like, "What the fuck? Why are you live?" You said you're not going to be. All right, good. It's good. Thank you very much. So we do have a little bit of help now. So tomorrow on Interviews with Everyday People, Harry Collins' episode is going to air. And during that podcast, Harry expressed interest. I forgot to tell Andy we're going. Andy's eating. No one look at him.
Sorry, Andy.
Sorry. He expressed interest that he wanted to help produce the show and help out behind the scenes and do some cool stuff. And let's see if that works too. We should probably test that out. Make sure we're still going through. I think we should be.
I hope so. Yep,
yeah.
we are.
I'm saying no, going out that way too. I just realized that. Anyway, so Harry's going to help us out with behind the scenes, and he's going to keep an eye on the chat. You're going to hear me double for 1 second.
This is going to be delayed.
Yeah. Yeah, we're good. All right. So Harry's going to help us out behind the scenes and run the chat. So if you have anything you want to say in the chat or anything like that, he'll be able to see that and talk to you guys. If we need help or if we're talking about something like a movie or anything like that, he could pull it up for us and chime in and tell us. So he's going to do a lot of cool behind the scenes stuff. Yes,
I thought you were going to tell us we're going off script. Like he's going to be like, guys, we were talking about this and you're in Supernatural right now.
He might. As he gets more comfortable with the team and stuff like that, and we have some cool stuff we might add in the future. So say if like we're talking about a clip of something, we're gonna add it to the stream so he can like click a button and add it in. So like tonight I was gonna add like maps and stuff, but I didn't want to do all that yet. So in future topics, so if we're talking about like a cryptid or a monster, he can flash it on screen so people can see. Like there's going to be a lot more interaction on the screen with stuff going on. And that's going to come with time. Like I want to get him used to the program now and how to do everything. And then we can slowly add stuff in later. But I don't have to pay attention to the chat and make sure everything's sounding good and looking good. Now someone's helping me with that. So I can just focus on all of your beautiful faces and stuff. So I'm not looking all over the place.
I don't know if that's good or bad. Just joking.
So if you are thankful and happy that we are back live.
I use that.
I didn't know if you like the smell of that. I see him like.
No, he loves the smell. That's the stuff from Gettysburg.
Oh.
Remember the stuff we went to the store and the whole night?
No, Jim Thorpe.
Jim Thorpe.
I wasn't there for that. I wasn't here yet.
I thought we did in Gettysburg too.
No, oh, maybe you did. I wasn't there.
It was Jim Thorpe. You're right. Anyway, so if you're happy that we are live, please check out the interview tomorrow with Harry. I'm going to be adding his link tree to the links below in the IWEP network and the other podcast link tree. Support him on SoundCloud. Support his music and the people he supports. And like I said, it's all because of Harry. We're live, so show that kid some love. And we'll keep this going live so you guys can enjoy it on all the platforms and you don't have to go searching for it on YouTube. But if you are watching live, please go subscribe on YouTube and help us out. Help us at that 1K so YouTube has to pay us.
Yeah. We want their money.
Yeah,
please.
we want their money. And if you want to put your money, we do have links below.
Thank you for that as well.
For merchandise. I believe the sale is now over. Keep an eye on the TeePublic. It's always going on sale.
It happens all the time.
Yeah. Usually once a month, there's like a 35% off or up to 35% off deal. You can buy t-shirts and stuff. Teespring is also there. The Teesprings have double-sided stuff where you can get like the logo on the front and something cool on the back. So there's a little bit of variance there.
I thought we were not cool.
What?
You said something cool on the back. I thought we're not cool.
Something not cool on the back. Yeah. Tonight's topic is going to be the lost colony of Roanoke. And this is your back-to-back topics. So
I am.
Not cool in high school, and then this week on The Truth Behind Illusion.
Right. So that could be good or bad, depending if you like my detail-oriented approach. So
Well,
sorry or not sorry, I'm not sure.
Yeah. The only feedback I got from last week with the not cool is
We weren't here last week.
the last episode, the
2
not
weeks.
cool. We gotta keep an eye on talking over each other. Sometimes you guys like start looking at each other and you just start talking to one another,
yeah.
and then like the other person's still trying to present.
You and I have conversations, and they have conversations.
She called herself
I don't
out, so
recall.
I was
I
trying to
did.
be nice about it. I didn't want to point elbows on who did it.
It's us. We have conversations while they're talking about things we don't know about.
This is okay.
Yeah, so we got to keep an eye on that. So when people are
So
talking,
got it. Be quiet.
yeah.
Don't over talk on Tony.
Well, it wasn't
I
on
know.
me. It was on poor Bree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Bree's like,
Bree.
so on Twilight Princess High.
So we're gonna talk about this now.
Yeah. You
Show
all right over?
Twilight Princess
Oh,
and myself.
Is that when I was like
guys.
interjecting Princess Peach and stuff?
Probably.
That's because I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have to say something at some point. So this is it.
I was trying
Remember,
to
you
teach
told him
you.
he needs to talk. He needs to cut in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your fault.
Pick and shoot your battles. Yeah. So and also immediately following this, we're going to do the bonus content where we're going to pull some fun stories off the internet or spooky stories and talk about them. We'll have to probably get the books out.
8-boy.
When do I
From
get to
the swamp.
discuss my love of Dark Air and how I'm so disappointed in everybody else for not liking it?
What's Dark Air?
So Dark Air is a podcast by Rainn Wilson, who plays Dwight, and
Oh.
he plays a character who is talking about.
It's a scripted podcast.
It's a scripted podcast.
That's
So
why
good.
it's not. So it's technically like a show.
So
I love it so much.
That already explains why I wasn't drawn to it.
Yeah.
I'm not drawn to The Office, so I'm not.
It's,
drawn to
it's
that.
not like him actually reviewing and talking about
Right.
subjects they like.
It is Dwight.
It's scripted.
Real upset about
I love Dwight, but not that much.
Yeah.
You don't.
I
and I
gave
gave
away
you a
Dwight's
Dwight themed
plaque.
Well, it's not
Cousin?
Dwight. What's his name in the show?
Something I don't
Dwight.
remember.
Terry Carnation.
Oh, Terry
I didn't
Carnation.
know we were
Yeah.
talking about.
It's rough. It's a rough listen.
It's not.
I don't like
How long is
scripted
it?
shows.
Too long.
No, 45 minutes.
That's too long.
Oh my God, guys.
If it was anything over 10,
So disappointed.
Um,
I love
No
it.
podcast should be over 45 minutes. I mean, come on.
I mean, what?
add an hour to that. That's every
That's
one of
kind
our
of where
shows.
we're going with.
And then we're also have 2 unboxings to do. Well, 3 unboxings.
Waiting forever.
And it's going to be snack
What's
oriented.
the 3?
So Andy has his Video Games Monthly.
Oh, that's right.
He also has a Tokyo treat box. So we're going to eat Japanese food and we'll tell you if you like
snacks
it.
and
Snacks.
It-
And Heidi got her brand new snack crate, and it's a mystery country.
Let me
Ooh.
open it.
Oh, actually, while we're talking about crates, because you got that beer box last time with the beer pretzels, I ordered from that website and I got a 4-pack of them.
Nice.
What?
So
Cool.
randomly watching these boxes
the
is
pretzels are
also
good.
influencing
Yeah, they're good.
my purchases outside.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
We just ordered
Uh-huh.
3 boxes more because of you.
Oh my.
With the Zobi.
Oh,
boxes, yeah.
okay.
Listen, they're good. That's all you need to know. They're good.
They are really good. They're cool autographs and stuff. All right, so let's get into our topic, Bree. Let's take it away with the lost colony of Roanoke, not Virginia, because a lot of people think that. A lot of people think it's the lost Roanoke, Virginia.
It's off North Carolina.
It's
right?
in North
Correct.
Carolina.
Yeah, I only know a little bit about it.
Born and raised, take your shirt off, and then get lost like the Roanoke colony.
Born and raised? What?
Maybe
North
they're just all
Carolina?
invisible.
What?
That reference right over Andy's head because it's a rap song lyric.
I have no idea.
Oh.
North Carolina, born and raised, so take your shirt off and spin around your head like a helicopter.
Will Smith?
No, I don't even know who sings it.
Petey Pablo.
It was, huh?
Katy Perry?
Petey Pablo.
Oh,
Oh.
There's-
who's the heck's Petey Pablo?
Peebly Pablo. Well, he's no Snoop Dogg.
He's no Snoop Dogg.
Petey Pablo.
He's not even a Bad Bunny.
There's many people better than Bad Bunny,
Real
let me
quick.
tell you.
So it wasn't a Bad Bunny song, but it was a bachata style Spanish song.
Oh, it's awful.
It wasn't bad. I mean, if I knew the lyrics, I'd probably into it more. But it was more R&B. This style of
Okay.
music, this machata. It's not like rap.
What is a machata and
Machata
a
is like-
bunny?
It's that drink that's like the horchata.
No, so we were at work and we had like this outdoor tent,
Oh my
and
God.
everyone's just kind of talking and everyone's having a good time and they're playing like music, and all of a sudden, like the first 3 chords of this one song hit, and the entire tent exploded. Like everyone lost their fucking mind.
I would have went home sick.
Yeah, it,
But I gotta go.
I almost went home sick 'cause it was so fucking cold. I
You
was
just like went and hid in the bathroom.
I
That
should
would've
have
done.
but I know the terminology is the LOD pop, because
Road Warriors.
What does
pop.
that
You gotta
mean?
say Road Warriors.
Road
pop.
Warriors pop.
When a wrestler comes out and the place
Oh.
goes crazy.
Yeah. That's what
Oh.
happened.
That's a pop.
Yeah,
So the Road Warriors pop was when it's so loud, it's like blowing the roof off.
So when Greatest Showman comes on,
Yes, and main event.
And
hits the
yeah,
stage.
main event comes out. Okay, gotcha.
Well, speaking of main event, they got to showcase their skills on
I
AEW Dark
know.
and on AEW. What's the new show called?
Elevation.
Elevation. Yeah.
And that's the only reason I brought it up because I
Yeah.
saw them and they were the greatest showman. So I
Yeah.
was like, all right, we'll
Yeah.
bring some musical stuff in.
Good people. Good people.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get to our topic.
All right, so I have this broken into just 2 parts instead of my 5,000 parts from last time. So, part 1, history from Wikipedia. Established by Sir Walter Raleigh, which he has a town named after him now, or a city. Haven't
Is it
been.
Riley? Riley? Or
Is it Raleigh?
Raleigh,
I
North
have no
Carolina?
North
idea.
Carolina?
Yeah, it's
No
different
idea.
pronunciations.
I'm
Like I lived in Monoy City my whole life, but my best friend lived on
Monoy
Monoy Street.
Oh,
Manoy.
okay.
Doesn't make any sense.
No changing in the spelling
and some
whatsoever.
Exact
people
same
live in
word.
Mockanoy.
Yeah.
Machanoy. Yeah, my granny says Machanoy.
I'm like, there's no K.
Because you're not from.
So
you're not
wait.
one of us.
I know,
Was this
no.
guy British?
Yes.
Yes.
So then you also have to do it with a British dialect, which messes it up even more.
What is the British dialect?
I don't.
Who knows?
What is the name?
Raleigh?
Oh, come on.
Raleigh?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
How do you pronounce it? Raleigh?
I just say it and hopefully I'm right.
I just don't say it.
Raleigh. In order to establish the first ever permanent civilization in the New World of America. The first governor of the first version of this colony, so there was actually 2 versions of Roanoke, was Ralph Lane, and his term began in 1585.
And he was a dick.
I did not read much up on him, but I'm going to take your word for it.
I would-
I had a lot of material to cover.
It'd
Yeah.
definitely be Raleigh.
I'll do
Raleigh.
I'll do
Raleigh.
a quick so the first time they settled here, they went with this general and White was with him.
Yes.
White was
White
sent
was
with
there.
him as the person who was going to draw the maps and take care because his job was he was an artist and his whole job there was to make maps of the New World and then bring them back to England. So they went the first time. They were going to be one of the first settlers and they went
I
and
thought Christopher Columbus was the first
He's not a settler.
yeah. He was more of a colonist. These were and the main reason why they were settling in this area is because they knew the French and the Spanish were kind of around there as well.
Yeah.
And they were pretty much pirates. They were going to go plunder shit, and then that was going to be their home base, and they were going to take what they found and take back to England. That
Mhm.
was their whole premise. So he went down the first time to make this fort and this base.
When was this? So we have a time reference.
1585.
1580.
1585.
Yeah.
Okay, so well before the
Before.
Revolutionary.
Yes, well before.
Yeah,
This is still new.
Well, no, I know, but
Yeah.
like just to put it in perspective,
Mhm.
that 1776.
so
is
he
what
go-
most people know.
Yeah, he goes down
After
there
Columbus,
and does not make good public relations with the Native American tribe. So he's down
Nope.
there. They're having a hard time settling the land. They're having a hard time with food and fishing and figuring all that out. And the Native Americans are like, yeah, we'll help you. Like we'll work with
Well,
you.
like, how they even talk to each other?
Yeah,
I believe
There was no translator because no one
No.
knew.
they did have people who were kind of yeah, but they did this like they're
Imagine you're the first people landing there.
yes
Yeah.
No one spoke their language and no one spoke English.
right.
Yes.
It's like, how do we say what an apple is?
Yeah. If-
Like someone had to say this is apple and this is whatever
Banana?
another language
Yeah.
says apple is.
well as someone who
You know?
who speaks to people who do not speak English at all or don't know any English.
okay, but we have Google Translate now.
Yeah.
I understand.
But that was the first
But
time
sometimes when you're looking at something like, so example, when I'm at work,
Mhm.
a box. So I'll point and say box, and they say kaha, and I say, okay. So they're just by pointing,
Okay.
they're telling me what that means.
Yeah.
So I
But
wanna
imagine how difficult that was when
oh, very
Mhm.
difficult. Yes.
Yeah.
So
you've never even seen people look like this before, and like, wow.
mhm. Now one of the big things I definitely have perspective here because a lot of this is when people are going to hear this story, they're going to think of today's times,
Mhm.
and this is you have to put yourself in a different mind state for this story.
Yeah.
So
Take your shoes off.
yes. So when
There's no
they
shoes.
when they
Yeah.
come to this area, they're not uneducated people. So I think what a lot of times when people think of time,
Wild
What do we? I
savages.
was gonna say, what do we say by educated?
well, I'm just saying that when the English are coming here, they're not sending dumb people. Like people
Oh,
back
I
in the-
thought you meant the Americans.
and the Native Americans aren't stupid either. They're because they're surviving on land that we
Sure.
couldn't survive on. But so what I'm saying is people think because they're from a different generation or a different time that their education level is lower because we have cell phones and all this other stuff. Their education is they're not mentally incompetent people. Like they're not
Well, how would you
stupid.
sail a ship? I wouldn't think that. I don't know
Yeah.
who thinks that.
So I, well,
That
what-
is a weird thing.
I-
Yeah.
but that is something that you have to
I would think more people think the Native Americans were wild savages. You
Yeah.
know, that's what
They did think that way about
I
them,
mean,
but
some
they
were,
weren't.
but
but sometimes you have to be smart enough in what you need to do to survive. So yeah, the Native Americans didn't know how to read and write in English and know that
Yeah,
stuff.
but they can make leather.
But they knew how they were pretty much the reasons why this English tribe were surviving. They were giving them food. They're teaching them how to fish. They're teaching them how to set traps. They're
How
showing
to
them
farm.
how to farm, how to do the lay of the land.
See, I feel like that's not all true.
What?
Because
There was farming in
Fishing.
England.
yeah,
D-
and
But it's a little different.
I get that, but like,
Different
Well, no,
terrain.
it's the same. You put bait on the thing and you put
Right.
line in the water. It don't
You-
matter where the water's
you
in
can-
America
you-
or Japanese.
You can throw it in any point, any body of water. But
I
if there's
know,
no
but-
fish in that location. You're not gonna
okay,
catch anything.
so
Yeah, but
let's clarify that then. Maybe they show fishing spots where
Yes.
it's like these are where the
Yeah.
fishing is, not that they had to learn.
But
to fish.
it's not like I'm in a different country. I don't understand fishing at all now.
Because you could go somewhere in a different country and be like, "Oh, this is a fishing pole. I'm gonna go fish."
Or bait. Sometimes fish aren't going to bite on certain
Sure.
things.
Yeah, but
or-
you still understand you got to put whatever it is on the hook and put
Right.
it in the water.
Unless they sent the people over without those skill sets.
that too. So not every single person coming from England to America is like,
Yeah.
oh, they probably there's people probably I don't know about it. There might be like, have you ever fished your whole life?
Okay, but let me ask you this:
If I set
At-
you out to survive on the rest of your life, would you survive? I
Probably
wouldn't either.
just to put into perspective, this is now that you're referring to. These people sat on a boat for what, 2 years? Or
A long time to get
months?
over.
And it took a
months,
month?
Just to
6
cross
to 8 months, I think
Yeah,
it
6 to 8
was.
months.
So what are they eating? I know they have barrels of stuff, but I'm sure there were people that
Preservatives.
can fish
Yes.
on a boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So this guy comes over. He makes relations with the Native Americans. If I'm using the wrong terminology, I'm not trying to be inconsiderate, and I know we live in a different time.
Probably all the articles will say Indians.
Yeah. So if I say Indians, I'm not
it's
trying to
hard-
be
yeah.
offensive or anything. So I'm just trying to speak, and I'm not.
as it was spoken
Exactly.
then.
Yes.
So they worked with the Native Americans, and then he would just be like, "Shit, we don't have enough food," so he would just take one of their people hostage and be
Oh,
like,
God.
"Give us more! I'm killing this fucking guy." And
Mhm.
he killed leaders, he killed tribesmen, he pretty much left it
Awful.
in a terrible situation. All the while he's now making enemies with the Native American
Mhm.
tribes. There's still French and Spanish fleets there too, who now know the English are there. So they're like, shit. They got to a point where they're like, we need to get the hell out of here.
Mhm.
We're running out of supplies. We're having a hard time with disease because when you come to a new land, you're not used to the same stuff here.
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
also bringing their disease, so they're now poisoning Native American people without even trying, because they're like
Right.
the smallpox is a big thing over there,
Mhm.
and everything else. So they bring all this disease and stuff with them. So now the Native Americans are like, well, the white man's cursed. Like, you go near them, you get sick, and then now they're killing all of us. It wasn't a good time to be there. So he pretty much gets in a ship, takes off, and before he leaves 15 soldiers at Roanoke and says, we'll be back for you guys. During that time, as they're leaving and they left those 15 people, another ship was passing that was coming to them with supplies. So the 15 people there did get some supplies and everything was cool. They go back to England. She's probably going to jump in as the second time they're going to establish. Now John White is going, and he's the leader.
Mhm.
And now he's bringing men, women, and children. They're not really establishing a war base. They're establishing a colony for people to live on new land.
Right.
And that's where the story of John White really begins. So John White's coming back to an area he's already familiar with, but knows he's coming back to hostile lands where they thought they were pretty much, if they stayed any longer, they probably were going to get murdered by the local Native Americans or opponents of other wars from England, or like Spain or
The French.
European countries.
Mhm.
Yes.
And this kind of jump into what you're saying. I don't have this in my research, but to kind of put into perspective to bringing the disease and stuff, I'm sure this is about the time where like that term smallpox blankets comes in. Everybody
Yes.
ever heard that?
I don't
They
wa-
would use that as a tool against Native Americans.
I don't think it was so much as a tool. Because the smallpox is another thing too, where it was there, but a lot of us we were getting used to it. But they would be like, oh, these people need help. Here's some blankets. I don't think they were just like,
Well, sometimes they did in history.
yeah. But I think a lot of it was just incidental infection.
Maybe. But also in history, it was used as a weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be in the sense of both, where
Yeah.
it's like we're going to help them at first, and then bad
Mhm.
people were like, wait a minute, these blankets can make them sick and
Mhm.
kill them. All right, let's give them more.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
it
know
was
that
used
there
as a tool
is-
that way.
There is some,
Not here, but
Yeah, there is some conflicting stuff with that. Like because that's what a lot of the history tells you, that we were using infection and disease as a tool against Native Americans. But I think what they were trying to like new people are starting to find out is like they weren't that keen on infection and disease
Right.
and using this
didn't.
chemical warfare. So
At this point in Earth, I mean, on the planet, they thought the Earth was flat.
That is also true.
probably didn't
They were going to sail
understand
off the edge of the
disease,
Earth
really.
if they went too
They,
far.
they
So-
didn't understand enough to use it as a weapon.
yes,
Right.
so I don't.
And I'm sure there was stuff here that took a couple white people out too.
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if they were just like, hey, because realistically everything's infected, not just blankets.
Right.
Like
True.
right now with COVID, we're living in a pandemic right now, and we still 2020 we're still figuring out the pandemic. So you think people back then are like, yo, that don't use that pile.
Yeah.
That's our smallpox
And
blankets.
they didn't have vaccines.
Yeah.
There was
Mhm.
no.
Well, they had
any of
some-
that.
Or hand sanitizer.
They had
Yeah, but
they,
like
they were learning.
Detergent.
right, they weren't smart enough to be like, oh, this is widespread. Like we have the internet. I just tweeted, hey, COVID's over here, COVID's there.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have that.
Yeah. So there is some debate on whether it was chemical warfare being used
Yeah.
essentially. And a lot of people are starting to think that it wasn't the case. They were just like
Yeah.
giving them because they were just usually whatever they can to trade. They would trade the blankets, and the next thing
Right.
you know, the entire tribe is dead, and they're just like, the white man killed us with
Yeah.
these blankets. That's only.
I mean-
they just did the process of elimination of being. We didn't have this. This
Right.
new foreign substance came in, and now we're all sick.
I mean, that's something that even happened not too long ago.
Yeah.
There was an island, I forget, I think it was off the coast of India, where they had never seen like technology or anything.
Mhm.
And we decided, oh, well, let's go give them a visit. The guy was killed, but his dead body now, because none of them were vaccinated for anything, he probably killed that tribe
Mm.
completely.
Or a good chunk
who
of
has
them.
never, I would probably say all of them, just because they've never had contact with literally anything
Yeah.
of the outside world.
And the other thing too, in this time, we talked about PA Dutch magic, like that was their medicine for a while.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like
Well, yeah, they had shamans.
yeah, so
Mhm.
Yeah.
so people still thought of curses. People still thought like just rub honey on your forehead and then spin around 4 times and then drink the tears of
Mm-hmm.
Jesus and then you're good to go. You know what I mean? Like they're still figuring shit out.
Yeah.
So yeah, good time to be alive.
So, to get back to what I have here, 7 fleets of about 600 people first came over for the first settlement, and they called it the Lane Civilization the first time, and about half of them were expected to stay.
That surprises me that they sent so many people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, maybe in the thought process that they're not all going to make it.
I
Because a lot of people, I'm sure, died on those boats,
Mhm.
Yeah.
A
which
lot,
also
kind of
caused
like
disease.
if you look at the movie 300 where they're like, we need a warriors, and they're like, what's your occupation? Like, I'm a potter. So pretty much they're like, all right,
Yeah.
send a blacksmith, but the blacksmith now is going to take his wife and 3 kids, and then we need a farmer, so he's going to take his wife and kids. Like you're pretty much relocating entire
Right.
families.
But they weren't Spartans.
Definitely not smart.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
And if it still existed today, it would be found in Dare Colony, which is North Carolina. It, of course, is still on Roanoke Island. So, due to bad weather and some shipwrecks, many of their supplies did not make it. Many people did have to return to England because there was not enough supplies for everyone to make it through the winter. And another issue they had was that they blamed Native Americans for stealing, which caused England to send troops over to get revenge. So they were going, back and forth with that. Many town and crops were burnt down, or a big portion of the town was burnt down, and people ran away from this town. This is the first civilization.
Oh, you're at the first time John White's there.
Yep,
Okay.
this is still the first one, and this caused the settlement to fail.
Do they have a name for it yet?
They called it the Lane Colony.
Oh, the Lane Colony.
Yes, and the mayor spent more of his time with the queen than with his new town.
Ooh.
Yes,
Well then.
and this did take place in the Elizabetharian era.
Mhm.
The Elizabethan.
Elizabethan.
Yes,
I only
Thank
know
you.
that from theater stuff.
yes, thank you. um, So then, as we talked about already, Native Americans were fighting often with the new colonists, and they would go back and forth with whether they want to fight the English, if they want to help them, and there's a lot of like backstabbing and wheeling and dealing that would occur behind the settlers' back. So the Native Americans would kind of like band together and give false information to each other, kind of make them want to fight with the the new Americans, and then so they didn't know if they could trust them or not
And
trust
if you
them.
were like a white person, you wouldn't know there's different tribes. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there'd be different tribes that could hate each other, but you didn't know.
Yes.
You just think
Most-
they're all the same.
I'm
Yes.
gonna try to put it into terms. I guess was like so. Think of the in this analogy as the Native Americans are like the Italian mob, right?
Mhm.
So there's different families of the mob, but
Mm.
everyone kind of goes to the main guy
Yeah.
of like he's the one who can bring the peace. Some families still do their own thing, but everyone kind of answers to one person. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the Croatoan, I believe how they're called, is where the main guy would go to, where you'd go to him and be like, this tribe's giving us problems, and then he would then turn around and say, okay, I'll go try to help this out.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's weird though. Like some tribes didn't have that zero communication.
Yeah, well, in this area they did because
maybe, but
yeah.
who knows? Maybe there was a little tribe over here that's like, well, we didn't.
Some of them would go rogue
Mm.
and do their own thing, and they're like, listen, by the time he finds out,
If you were a new white guy, you would be like, oh,
Right.
There's a
'cause it would
crazy
be like,
Indian.
they're coming from England.
Yeah,
And
you
I mean,
wouldn't
yeah,
know.
it's separated by the different areas and there's people, but
So
okay, we're under the queen. Who are these people under?
Yeah.
We're just
Yes.
here, and now there's people.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they did figure that out because they knew that every
they
single time they were having
Yeah.
problems, both settlements, the first and second, they would go to the Croatoan leader and be like, we're having some shit. And even when they were hurting the Croatoan leader and their people and killing them, murdering them, they even came back the second time. He's like, all right, listen, I know you got like that last guy's not here anymore. We'll work with you again. Like, so that was like their main outlet was
what
this
they felt.
tribe.
But like still, like they could. Even
Oh, yeah,
though he
anyone
says it, they can still. have problems.
Anyone can go
Mhm.
rogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, as you could tell, they had few friends in the New World. And of course, as mentioned already, there was famine, disease, and a food shortage that hit them. So, when White went back to the first settlement after he went to England, then came back, he found the fort there was dismantled by the one that was built by the previous governor was dismantled. There were human bones found throughout the abandoned town, and they found overgrown crops and empty houses. So they had to establish a second one. It was established in 1587. This would be the Lost Colony. This is the one that we're talking about now. And of course, White was more involved in this one.
Even that first one was abandoned.
Yeah.
Well, it was pretty much abandoned by the 15. They were like the 15 to 20
okay.
troops
Yeah.
that were left behind.
They were kind of killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were all killed.
Yep. That's why there's human bones everywhere, and everything was basically dismantled.
Yeah. Pretty
They
much.
ruined it.
It was like overgrown and stuff. And then
Mhm.
the rumor is too, they only found one belt body. It was one body of a soldier, and everybody else was missing.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
this is what my source said.
Mhm.
So I'm just going by my sources here. I lost my place. Okay. So of course, according to White, when he came back, this town vanished in thin air as well. So, and of course, that's what's going to happen with this colony too. Try to find my place here.
Yeah, this settlement. It's like the settlement was a success. Is that where you were at?
This settlement was not a success.
Oh, there you go.
apparently.
Yeah, I skipped not.
Thank you. Okay, so second one had to be established. Thank you. It was established in 1587. This time the governor was White, and it was going to be called the Lost Colony. Why is that? This is because the second settlement also did not make it, and everyone mysteriously disappeared. It vanished in thin air, leaving a ghost town, as we were discussing earlier. It was established due to them deciding to remain after checking on the battalion that was left there to protect the land and deciding this was needed after checking on them. It was going to initially be set up on Chesapeake Bay, and they were going to call it the city of, how do you pronounce it again?
Raleigh.
Raleigh, thank you. And this was going to be done and ran by John White.
John
And-
Wayne.
Hey,
White.
you come to my city right here in the new land. All right.
You listen here,
You don't do anything I don't say you do. Okay. All right. I'm done.
Yeah, so of course they had struggles with the Native Americans again, but they did also meet some who were friendly and wanted to help them. These issues went on, were okay, then not okay. They had issues with food again, issues with supplies again. However, this time they did move the second settlement 50 miles up from where it was previously. And there's some typos. in
I'd
here.
love to know how they know that.
Mhm.
That it's
Yeah.
50 miles.
Yeah.
I think
Because they didn't even use miles.
Yeah.
They were in kilometers. If they even used that.
I think they said it with kilometers, and then
Probably everything was roughly.
and then the people
Right.
reading it now are using miles
They
for
probably
our
read-
our sake.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
I wonder how they went about figuring all that out because they would have had to actually know the measurement
Well,
that they used.
Yeah.
I don't want to
like-
jump too far
Well,
ahead, but
look here, I think we
there is
went
some
about 1 kilometer.
sketchiness with old John White in
1
this story,
kilometer.
especially when it comes to this whole thing, because his whole job, the reason he was there is because he was a very talented map maker,
Right.
very very talented, And his maps were very accurate. Like a lot of the
Yeah.
early maps that we see in history books of the new land are all his.
Oh,
That's
okay.
kind of like
Hmm.
a superpower in a way. Like, how would you really know?
Mm-hmm.
You drawing it as you're going down the beach.
So he
Like,
he literally can map out an entire country or a whole
a
section.
cryptographer.
And then when it
Right.
comes to this one little tribe, he doesn't know if he put it in this spot or that spot. And then there's some whiteout marks on some maps,
Mhm.
modern day whiteout marks. It's a little sketchy.
Sean White.
White was a little sketchy. This guy.
Yeah, so because of the issues previously mentioned, the residents of Roanoke had been swayed to go back to England, and he did go back that August. And while he was doing this, of course, the Anglo-Spanish War broke out, and this made his trip longer than it needed to be. So he didn't get back to the New World
Yeah.
as soon as he wanted to be.
Essentially, they said, John, you need to go back and talk to pretty much the financial backer, the people who are funding this entire new
You
colony.
mean the queen?
The Queen,
Well,
yep,
the queen
and other rich
and there was
people.
other people.
Yeah, rich people.
Because their whole thing is you're going to go there and you're going to find us precious metals and find all this.
Yeah.
And you need to show us that this is a valuable thing of our money.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm not going. I'm staying here because at the time he now had a wife, a daughter. His daughter had
granddaughter.
a baby, and
Right.
then so he's established a family here, and he's like, I'm not going.
Plus, it probably took about a month to get back.
A little longer, probably
Yeah.
about 6 or 7
Ain't that
months.
something?
Yeah.
And that's all depending if you had clear sails.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
If you hit a storm,
Yeah. Or if you hit enemy troops, so there's a lot of things going
Yeah.
in there.
Mhm.
So they
there
pretty much said,
pirates?
listen,
Or a kraken.
nobody knows, nobody's as good as negotiating, and no one knows these people as good as you. So we don't want to waste time sending someone out for 8 months for them to get told no. We know you can pretty much seal this deal. You have to be the one to go.
Yeah.
So he went under protest. Pretty much the entire colony took a vote, like, no, you're the one going. So that's when he then went back to England. Yeah.
So when he finally returned with all the supplies he was asked to get, he returned to a completely abandoned settlement. Before he and the boat crews made it to shore, they only saw plumes of smoke. So they decided to stay in their boats and try to draw people out. So they were loud. They sang familiar songs to people who were English and would know them, would recognize. But it did not garner any attention from anyone who would have lived in the settlement. All he did find was the word Croatoan written out, but he did not know what that meant. He also saw CRO, crow, carved in a tree, which is very famous. They have it in a museum and everything, as well as some fresh tracks in the sand when they made it to the beach.
wait, they have it in the museum?
Oh, yeah. I saw pictures of it.
Yeah.
Like the actual.
The whole tree.
Like, did they cut the tree? And
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't.
Okay,
I, don't know,
I
but-
saw it.
That's sketchy.
Yeah.
Well, it might
Because
be
How
a
did it
reproduction.
last this
We
long?
are
I
in
saw it.
in the date of 1500s.
I'll look it up.
Why?
know, I saw a
Why
picture of
that
it.
tree?
Why would you cut
we're
it down
gonna
and save
save?
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I understand, like if there's like a civil war or something, you save parts of it. But this is a tree with a carving on it that you don't even know who carved it to start with.
Or what
Well,
it is.
once again, this is where the
Hearsay.
authenticity of this tree is sketchy too, because they. Well, I don't want to, but just to give a little more context too. So he leaves while he's in England. England and France are at war. So
And Spain, too.
Spain, England and Spain are at war. So he's pretty much like, hey, I need to get these supplies. I need to get back. We got approved. Everything's cool. And they're like, you're not our priority right now. We're at war. You're not taking our boat and people away from us when we need people to fight this war. You're staying here.
Right.
So he had to go through all these loopholes, was stuck there 3 years, then finally got the approval of a boat and supplies, came back. When they get there, he said they seen the plume of smoke. But I believe what they said at that time, they were short. They only had enough to anchor another maybe 2 times.
Yeah.
And they were like, and it was too dark and they weren't risking to send boats out. So they seen the smoke. They're like, we're here. We know we're at the right spot. So we'll just stay on the boat here and we'll party. They're going to stay because they're going to wait for morning so that they can then take this ship. So they figured if we're on the boat and we're partying, we're loud, they'll know it's us. And then by morning, we'll have a greeting party. Everything's going to be great. Morning came. Nobody was on the shore waiting for them. He did tell them when he left, if you have any problems, you are to leave a symbol of a iron cross to say that you were in distress. And then you're supposed to write on this tree where you're going.
Okay.
I read something different. It wasn't a symbol, but it was supposed to be. I have that in the next section.
Yeah.
So the actual tree is long gone.
Yeah.
I figured.
Well, the reason for that we'll get into a little later. But they
I
were,
saw pictures of it. There's
Well, it's not the real.
It can't
replica?
be because
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
also back
saw
then,
pictures of
I
it.
don't think would have had the technology to preserve a tree.
And they don't even know exactly
Yeah.
where the base was.
Yeah, and they probably wouldn't even think to keep it.
That's what I
Right.
mean.
You know,
Like,
Hmm.
yeah, it might be there,
Like
and
this-
someone might have
Like to
come
this
across
day,
it.
they don't even know where this establishment even was.
Yeah.
They know
Oh,
mean-
they did find it.
the actual the Roanoke.
Did they?
Yeah, I have that in my documents here.
Okay,
When I get to the bottom.
because when they
Last year they discovered it. They're pretty sure that based on I have it here.
yeah,
If I could get there, yeah.
because well, yeah, we'll get to that at the point. But yeah, so anyway, he told them to leave markings if there were
Okay.
problems where they're going. There was like a code.
Yeah, it's
it
called
was like leaving a voicemail.
I
Yes.
get that.
Yeah.
But was the
secret.
tree tested?
I don't know.
By who?
We'll get to that tree
Well,
part later.
depending on what piece of the tree you can judge. Now, this is just from elementary science, but if you cut down a tree,
Oh, yeah.
if you
yeah.
count the rings, it'll tell you how old
Yeah.
it is. So if it's just a little carving and it's on bark, that's not going to tell you nothing.
We'll get to that soon. Okay, go ahead.
I'm just,
Yeah.
Sorry, Bree.
No, that's okay.
I just have a lot of historical questions that are
Yeah.
going to come up.
I'm trying my
Like-
best to help you out.
No, that's okay. I saw a picture of unless they just made a replica for where they have
I'm thinking it's a replica, just because.
but I saw it.
The
Yeah.
tree would now be 600, 700 years old.
I mean, there's trees right now in like redwood that are
yeah, but
thousands
they,
of
they're,
years.
they're still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like this
So-
tree can technically probably still be alive and be fine.
Right.
Yeah, but
But like I said,
They
yeah.
preserve stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I'll have to find the picture and post it, but yeah, I was looking at it because I looked at a lot of pictures of this stuff. So anyway, I have to go back to where I was.
they're at the markings, and then Yeah.
Okay, so then nothing else was found but empty houses and looted belongings, and some of them were his own personal belongings that were
Mhm.
looted. After some time thinking about it, he thought they moved to the island that shared this name. This is where I was talking about. He also remembers asking them to leave a secret token to show him where they went, and that was his supposed words,
Mhm.
apparently. And he thought this might be the token. He decided to go to the island to check this hunch out, but he could not make it there due to bad weather. So they had to go back home to England once again.
yeah, that's where the anchor situation was, because they broke an anchor, and if they would have risked to go to this island and it wasn't the right location, now not only is he putting himself at risk, he's putting the risk of everyone on the ship at risk, because now they have no way to actually anchor. Like they couldn't anchor, send people on a boat, then the boat won't stay still because it's the
Right.
technology at the time. So there's like pretty much the people on the boat were like, "We're not going," and he's like, "It's literally 30 miles that way. I can go find my family."
30 miles in a rowboat?
No, in an actual ship, in a ship.
Oh,
But
yeah,
it-
but you're talking about anchoring and then
Yes.
getting in boats. You can't say 30 miles. Nobody's rowing
Well,
that.
I was just saying the distance of where this tribe was to where they were at that time, they would have had it wasn't very far.
Okay.
They could have made it, but they couldn't anchor the ship to then get off the ship
Right.
and find out, because they just couldn't. They didn't have, like, the anchors were all at that point. They had no thing. They hit shit. They actually
Right.
hit a storm as well, so that it was just implausible for them to do it. So at this time, he's just like, well, fuck, I can't, like, this entire ship will fucking kill me if we go.
Right.
But I want to find my family. Also, when he showed up, the establishment, they had built these homes to be able to be broken down easily to be transported. The homes were broken down. They left their weapons. They took the homes and their personal belongings. But the only thing that was different in the 3 years from him and leaving and coming back, they built a makeshift fort wall, like pikes.
Right.
So they did have some type of distress or trouble where they built some type of defenses.
It says
Okay.
that 115 were left behind.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there was some stuff there, but they left most of the stuff, but they did take their houses and their personal belongings. But they left like guns, and coming back, the only thing that was really different was he
Well,
found
I guess that makes sense.
the
'cause
fortified wall.
If you don't have
essentially.
gunpowder, the gun
Yeah, well,
means nothing.
unless you're going to beat someone with it.
That's
Yeah.
what I mean. Like, I can understand leaving, because at first I was like, why would they leave so many weapons behind? Like, you need those.
Yeah.
But if you don't have gunpowder or like a flint or any of that
You're just
kind of
carrying
stuff,
you're just carrying stacks of steel and wood for no
Right.
reason. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so now they're stuck. They can't go this short distance to find his family.
Right.
So then they turn and say, we're going back to England.
So it's important to note that some founders of this colony benefited from them remaining lost but not completely dead. So they had to prove that they were looking and hopefully alive elsewhere for their own greedy intentions and goals. So, because then they would keep getting money for like talents and success over here. So they had to kind of keep that notion alive that, hey, they're still alive. I need this, I need that, so they can benefit from it. So they never really told the queen that they were dead, basically. So that that's kind of been alluded to already. So.
Mhm.
So what happened to all these people? Where'd they go? Well, there's several theories on the situation. I have them all bullet pointed here. So Native Americans maybe murdered them. It's been believed since 1605 that it's possible that Native Americans they did not get along with killed them all. Some people may have also moved in with some of the Native Americans, willingly or not, depending on the situation, and joined their civilizations. So join the different tribes.
That seems the most plausible
Mm.
of all. Just hearing like right off the bat, like,
And also when he went back, there's no bodies,
yeah,
Yeah, 0 bodies.
0 bodies.
But
Mhm.
it's
weren't-
been
they
3
weren't-
years.
They weren't killed there.
True.
So if they were killed, they weren't killed where he found them.
Yeah.
Where he
Right.
found the
Yeah,
establishment.
but you would find something.
there'd be
Like
bones.
how many times? Right.
Sure.
He didn't
How
find
many
it, no
times
bones,
did they
nothing.
find murders?
I'm just saying, like,
years later.
it's been a good chunk. It's not like I
Also,
was
how
there
long-
yesterday.
Also, how long did he hang out and really search?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That too.
Nope, no one's here. Let's leave.
Because you also have to think, if he was gone for 3 years, that's 3 years of winter.
Yeah.
With possible snow. I don't know if North
3 years of
Carolina-
summer.
That's
So
where
fun
you're gonna
fact
have-
with this
It's
as
hot
well.
in North
Heat,
Carolina.
yeah.
His fun fact with this too is how you're talking about tree rings. So they went back and they have the they obviously the actual location of where this fort was is
Mhm.
still up in the air because he said it was on the shoreline. And some people say it's more in the middle of the island. Some
Right.
people saying it's in this location. So they don't know. They don't have the exact pinpoint location of this
Mhm.
Mhm.
lost civilization. But they took trees of where these were and they cut them out. And not only can you with new technology, not only can you tell how old the tree is with the rings, but
Yeah.
you can actually track how much water, how much like you can track the
Right.
environment of those things. And going back on the data of that, they actually said that those years of the both settlements being there was one of the worst droughts in like 800 years in that area.
So they all could have packed up
Okay.
and moved.
Yeah, so with a drought, you're not getting crops. You're not like so.
Right.
It was very hard to sustain crops and stay alive and have a food source and everything like that. Now these Native Americans were a lot better at it than they were.
That's
So
what I was going to
yeah.
say, that something like that happened and they had to move.
so that was a very interesting thing too. That
Mm.
probably a reason why they had to cut ties and get the hell out of there. On top of being attacked because they built some type of defense
Right.
fort.
There had to be a
fortifications.
I mean, it could have been as simple too. Like not necessarily even people. It could have been bears
Yeah.
or something that like they're just trying to keep
Some
out.
kind of animal.
Yeah.
So then they left and went to the Croatian island nearby. They went and started a completely new colony. They joined the Hatteras community, and there's evidence of this by looking at Old English culture there. Some of the descendants of the people who used to live there matched the people from the Roanoke culture. They moved back to Chesapeake Bay. They attempted to return to England on their own. There's also a conspiracy to take out Raleigh due to religious and political differences. There was also a secret operation at Beachland that occurred due to England losing contact with them, Raleigh keeping them a secret so no one could find them and take resources from them, and then their secret location dying with him. That had to do with the war between the different countries. A Spanish attack is also talked about.
Yeah, the Spanish definitely knew they were there.
Mm-hmm.
They were aware of their presence.
Yeah.
They were aware of their presence the first time they did it because they're like, oh, you're building a base that you're going to store everything at.
They could have went in and killed them all and took them all.
Yeah, because like once
Or
again,
burn the bodies.
once
or
again,
something.
a lot.
Yeah.
What you're a big detail that we're kind of leaving out here is that initial base, even though it was the second time around, was more or less for people to live there. That was still going to be a hub when they go and pirate and pillage things.
Yeah.
That's where they were going to store it.
You know, that's an interesting point though that we bring up. Like they took the bodies. Like let's say they went with that. What if it was even like they died, the Native Americans found their bodies and were like, because they're very spiritual,
Mm.
they can't let a body there. They're gonna like cremate it or whatever, and
Very
do
possible.
Sent
rituals
it
with
into
it.
the water.
Right. So there is also that kind of possibility that
Or maybe
an
they threw them all on a
outside-
shitty boat and just sent the boat out in the middle of the ocean.
maybe
Very
Like
true.
Viking.
and shot a flaming arrow
Yeah,
at it.
Viking.
Viking
Mhm.
funeral. Can't
And-
rule it out.
Then there's the court tree we talked about. This means two things to some people. One's a supernatural meaning. There is a story that has been written down in books about a witch named Cora who attacked and killed them. So, there's a story about this witch named Cora, and it's the supernatural stories that this witch attacked and killed them, or they moved to a lake on the mainland called Lake Matamusket.
I'd like to know more about Cora. Was she white? Was she
Probably
Native
not.
American? Was she someone else?
I would like to hear about her too. I thought
I'll
that
look
was
that
very
up, yeah.
interesting. I thought that was a really
Another deep dive story here.
She's
Yeah,
the
we'll
Queen of
have to-
Hearts.
Yeah.
maybe we can
Let's find
cover that
out.
on the
Patreon.
Patreon.
Yeah, I
Thank
mean,
you.
we'll research it and kind of dig it up.
Yeah, but she's mentioned in some book and she's well known by the people back
All right,
then.
hit us with that shitty one.
Which shitty one?
The one you're gonna subscribe to here with your T-shirt.
Oh, I didn't get there yet. There's
Okay.
more before there.
Okay.
So anyway, Lake Matamusket. The people who lived there were also called the Coree. So that might, kind of link to why the tree had the letter core written, or the word core
Cool,
written on it.
blimey. That was what the British would say.
Then we have the Dare stones. These stones were written by Virginia Dare, the first baby to be born in this new world by John White's family. And on one stone, it's like has her family's. So on one side of the stone, it has her family's name, and on the other side of the stone, it's like a little explanation of what happened. So what she has written once it was basically translated is deadly disease. Half of them were killed off by Native Americans. And once these tribes thought they heard white ships were back in town, so to speak, they fled in fear of revenge that England would take on them for killing the people. And then there's other stones that popped up, but it's believed that they are fake.
Yes. So with the stones, this guy was pretty much with his wife driving on the road. His wife said, "Pull over. I got to do something." And he's like, "All right. Well, while you're doing that, I'm gonna go walk in the bushes and collect some chestnuts." So he trips over.
Oh, this sounds fishy already.
He tripped
Yeah.
over. He tripped over a rock.
Whoa!
He picked up the rock and went, "Holy shit! This is kind of strange."
Why would you pick
On
up a rock?
On my travels home, I'm going to
Some
stop
people
at this university and see what this stone is. So then he brings it to the university, and the university's like, "Oh, this is actually predates the lost colony of Roanoke." So then he goes back. The university goes
A
back and
stone that
finds-
was laying on top of the ground.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just happened to have writing on it.
Yep.
'Cause I'm assuming that's
So
how they
then-
put it up.
so then this-
Erosion.
I'm gonna debunk that in a minute.
Well, hold on.
Acid rain.
So the second,
Look at tombstones.
yeah.
Erosion.
so the second stone they found in that area gave them a little more. So then they put a mass thing out. If anyone knows anything more about these stones, let us know.
Mhm.
Well, this guy goes, "I know a shit ton about these stones. I have 47 of them." So then they
47.
I
Yeah.
just decided
You
to
know how long it
never
would take
tell
to
anyone.
carve that?
and
Yeah.
Kept it a
It'll take
secret.
forever to carve.
so then
all
he
along.
turns around and finds out they end up finding out that this guy has committed fraud before and he knows how to work with
Snap.
stones. So pretty much
Oh,
because of
boy.
his stones, the first two have been rolled out as fake as well. But recent studies have found, due to the dirt and everything inside of it, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, that the first two stones could still be
Be real.
plausible as being real.
But wouldn't have been buried.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't come up with
But-
erosion.
Well,
or
with
something, but-
storms as
Yeah,
well can
yeah.
bring up new
Mhm.
like
But
sure.
we don't know where he found it.
I just think
I
it's
was gonna
funny that
say-
he tripped over it and picked it up. Like if
Yeah.
you're out in the woods and you trip
I mean,
over
don't
something,
hang
you're
on.
not gonna
Don't
pick it up.
don't stress on the tripping over. I'm just saying he went out to find chestnuts and found the stone. I tripped over by saying like he just tripped across it. Like he didn't actually trip.
He came across
Yeah,
it.
he came across it. Also the
How big are these stones?
They're pretty big. I sent a
It's the
picture.
Ten Commandments.
it was enough for him.
Yeah.
It was enough for him to pick up by himself and carry out of the woods.
Yeah, well, that's another sign because if you see the original Dare stones, they're
Hi,
like
Ma, I
boulders.
found these
Yeah,
stones.
they look kind of
here.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say things.
So and then the second stones that they found they're saying were false. They were using words that weren't even like slang or even used.
Back then.
Right.
Like the dialect that was used to write some of them didn't make sense
Mm.
for that time
No,
period
okay.
and stuff like that.
The Dare stone.
You got to have some big stones to fake those stones. Good old Bill. That's a good
Very
one.
true.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
Yeah.
So 2 of them are real. The others probably all fake. Nice try, I guess. So basically, as I said, the real stones alluded to deadly disease and being killed off by Native Americans and them running away in fear of revenge. And then some other things that were thought to happen. According to History Channel, an extreme drought was discovered to happen during the time of this, and they feel that contributed to their death or disappearance. Now, this is the newest thing that they have found as of last year. They have discovered thanks to finding different English, belongings on Hatteras Island, which is now part of the Outer Banks.
Yeah.
So they were, I guess, doing excavation, and they found like pottery, clothing,
Buttons,
Tools.
weapons.
Yeah.
Yep, all kinds of stuff. So it matched, what they had during that civilization during that time period, and some things that may belong to people who actually lived there.
Yeah. Now, the only
So-
thing with the debunking on that is a lot of that items could have also been used during trade. They could have been
True.
like, here's a gun, here's some clothing,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
just-
So they're like, oh, how did this make its way there? I don't know the exact thing, or just kind of have the research in front of me, but there is another location where they found Native American grounds where they were living, and they had bi-level houses.
Oh,
which
wow.
were not commonly used for Native Americans.
Mhm.
There is reports of English people at the time who would come and look for because every single time new people would come here, like when Jamestown was established, and then all the other colonies, they were like, "Hey, do you guys know anything about this?" Because that was like one of the first things they had to ask, and some people would be like, "Nope, don't know what you're talking about." And then when John Smith or whatever his name
John
is,
Smith, yeah.
he came and he pretty much went to the tribe like, "Hey, do you guys know anything about the Roanoke tribe?" And he's like, "Yeah, we killed them all. They're dead." And he's like, "Okay, good enough for me.
Yeah.
I'll take your 13-year-old daughter now." 'Cause that's the true story, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So sad.
so anyway, that's pretty much what happened there. And then recently, a woman, I guess, who has the descendants of some tribe. I don't know the exact name. I think it starts with a P. I forget the exact name, but
Powhatan.
I believe so. Something like
Yeah,
that.
they were very big in this story.
Yeah. So she has a book of all her family history that has been passed down and
Mhm.
passed down and passed down. And there's some sections of the book where it's like handwritten stories and pages missing, and they're like, "What's this?" And pretty much she said her great great grandmother is this name, and one of the names that she was given and of her family tree of this tribe are all Victorian names of the people who were the lost tribes of the lost colony of Roanoke.
Mm.
So what her story is and what her family has passed down from generation to generation is that the men were all killed. The men were destroyed, and the tribe took in the men, the women, and children. What was left of them, because a lot of them did die of disease and plague and starvation and all that other great stuff, and the rest were brought into this tribe, and they were pretty much like, you're one of us now. And the kind of way to back that up is in the area where this was, they found stuff, and also the bi-level homes, which were, how did Native Americans come up with that? These Native Americans would go to white villages and white settlements and tell them about the Bible. So how these kids learn? How are they learning about the Bible if they didn't have influence? And there was some of the people of the tribe who had fairer hair, had lighter color complexions,
Mhm.
had gray eyes, and spoke and wrote. They were able to speak and write in English. So a lot of people. Another theory is the whatever was the survivors of the Roanoke colony, because as humans, you're not going to stay anywhere you can't. You're not going to feel safe. You're not going to have food,
Mhm.
so you're going to move. So
Mm.
they probably went to the Croatoan leader, as we talked before, and he was like, "Hey, this place can probably help you out. They're having better time. They have more space for you. They can support you." And he probably sent them to another place where they can survive. But along those travels, it was probably it was like the Roanoke video, like the Oregon Trail video game, where it's like, "Oh, John's dead of plague." They were just
Yeah,
probably
someone
dropping
died
like
off.
flies, and yeah,
That seems most plausible. They went and lived.
that's that's kind of
The
where I'm
people that
leaning
were there.
to, where they just pretty much settled up with another
That's what I
establishment.
would
Yeah.
do.
Well, this woman pretty much said that that's where that's the story she's been told her whole life. And when asked why didn't they say anything, it's just like, because it's our family, like it's none of your business.
Mhm.
And a lot of that could also be too, they were protecting them, because if the
Mhm.
English, if this tribe would have found out that they were holding English captive, they could have been killed for holding them. They're saying you're
Okay. So let's twist that answer then.
Yeah.
Revolution happens. We're no longer a part of England. Why not tell you now?
Why bother?
Yeah, something because at that point in time, it's just like, is it even relevant?
I mean, being one of the first settlements in a world that we went to war to make ours, I think is pretty
Yeah. I
relevant.
mean, they could have been
Well,
forgotten.
Well, let's do a history. When's the Revolutionary War?
1776.
Yeah, so
That's
this
not too long. Okay,
about
let's
100
paint a picture.
About 100 years.
Okay.
150.
Do you remember the Civil War?
Couple hundred.
No, I mean,
Do you know stories from it?
sure,
Did
absolutely.
we pass that along?
We know who won. Story.
But,
But I feel like they're more private though, right? Like their cultures are like private. Like they don't.
I guess what I'm
They- they
saying,
do-
They might have been embarrassed too, like if they have a white person and they're mating with them,
Absolutely, yeah.
maybe.
and they keep them.
I-
So if
And
they-
the white person
if-
might be embarrassed too. Oh, they I'm with
Now,
this.
if you're a
Yeah.
Native American tribe and you turn around and say, "Hey, that lost colony you're looking for, we have the women and children of it, but we killed the men,"
Yeah, not good. If
Okay.
that's
and
what happened.
they have terrible relations already with the white man. I'm not saying a word.
I don't know. I
And
find
the
it
people who are
fishy
part of the
that
tribe
you
would be
wouldn't-
like, "We'd be dead if it wasn't for these people."
Yeah, but you think someone would have came forward at some point.
right.
Oh, I went with the Algonquins, and I live with them, and now.
Especially when they started kicking the Native Americans out and be like, actually,
Yeah, I am
I'm
white.
from
Yeah.
Roanoke.
Well, they could have turned around. Well,
I mean, they were.
you have to realize
here
too.
everywhere before.
No, I know,
The
but
children
I'm
and
just
stuff
saying,
were
like,
probably like at this point we're probably like maybe one or two actually knew, and it wasn't something that they openly
Maybe.
talked about.
Yeah.
I guess why we bring that up is because like we still have documents from the Civil War. I know where technology and stuff
So
has changed.
This is where things
but
get fishy with
their
this story.
span from then to the Revolution
Mhm.
isn't really that big.
So this is where things get fishy with this story. So John he wrote everything. He kept journals and documentations and drew maps, and that was his whole job.
Mhm.
And he was also teaching that to this new tribe. All of a sudden, with this new tribe, nothing was written down, and in his maps, he didn't really know exactly where the tribe, where the lost colony Roanoke was.
Yeah.
Oh, it was more inland. Oh, it was on the shore. It was here. It was there. So they're like, wait a second, man. Like, what the fuck you like? So they went and found old maps, recent, like in modern day times of his maps, and where they had like they would call white page, like white squares, and what it looks
Like
like
a
with a map,
patch.
like a patch was put over top of it. And then when they look at it, there was other locations that he had written and drawn, and he had where the tribe may have been, but then passed out another location. So recent things have been going to these other locations to see what was he hiding there, because he was purposely hiding stuff in his
Mhm.
map with a patch saying that like, so he wasn't being so truthful to when
Straightforward.
people were coming back of why they were going there. Now,
They might not have proof either.
so it also could have been maybe they did find some stuff when it comes to herbal medicine from the Native Americans.
Mhm.
Maybe they found some things out about the new land that they weren't willing to share with England. Because at one point in time, you were talking about people who are trying to leave the regime of England to come
Yeah.
here and start their new thing.
So that won't help.
So maybe when she's like, "I'm going to send you back, but I'm going to send you with all these people," and he's like, "It was here last time I was here." You know what I mean? Like it could be one of those things where like, listen, like I'm never going to see you again, but this is your chance to break away.
because you never.
Because I can't disappear with you. Because if I disappear with you, then they're going to come look for me. But if I go back and report this is going on, like, so it sucks to say, like, what kind of man leaves his wife, his daughter, and his granddaughter and stuff? But if it made for them for a possibly better life,
That's a hard argument because they didn't have things we do now to be like, this is who this is.
freedom.
They had hand-drawn flyers that said, this is who this is.
Yeah.
Unless you physically saw it, even then your memory's
That's
not
what I mean. Maybe
super
that's why they never said
great.
anything.
No, I'm
They don't
saying
know.
if he himself would have just disappeared with his family, no one would have found them.
Hmm.
There's no real
more people would have
way.
came looking for him.
Sure, but I don't think they'd ever find him.
Depending.
Because who's going to go? The people that know him?
What do you mean?
The rich guys that they want to
Yeah,
go
they're
rub
not
shoulders
going.
to?
They know
Or
what they
the-
look
the
like.
People who, oh,
He
this is the
knew-
drawing of
yeah.
this guy? Okay, we're going to find every white guy that has a beard and a mustache.
He's definitely
say this
known.
is
He's
him.
definitely known by the people in England.
Yeah, but you wouldn't
Okay,
know
but
what
it's,
the
could
kids.
change
not like a YouTube
in a
star
harsh
today
world.
where you have a picture.
I understand that, but once again, these aren't stupid people. So if you know, so you're going to new land.
Mhm.
where
Sure.
majority of the people over there are brown, and there's one group of white people. They're not going to travel super far inland. He knew coming back that he's not going to be the only settlement that's going to try this. More people are coming, and they're going to settle, and they're going to do things. So he's pretty much like saying, if I disappear and go do this is just my theory. I'm not.
Hmm.
This
And
is
the people are red, by the way.
yeah. Well, they're,
Yeah, I know. I know.
that's the color given to them, but they're brown complexion people. If he then says, "Oh, I have all your investing money and all your supplies and everything, and now I'm also missing," those people are like, "All right,
He died.
we're sending."
Yeah.
They're going to check their investments first, and they're going to come out. They're going to come back. You already give us a map, even
Well,
though
it
it has some
depends
patches.
too.
in
Like
it.
when the people get there, they're gonna get there several months later.
But that's what I mean.
and then-
Like,
how
and
long
then-
are they gonna look?
And then
Yeah.
eventually,
Will they survive by
eventually,
looking?
like eventually, more people are going to come, right? So if
Yeah.
you're like, we're safe here, we're going to leave this area and
Mhm.
maybe go 50 miles that way. Now more people come, they're settling. Wait a second, who are you guys? You can't hide your English accent, like you know what I mean? Like we're Native American. No, the fuck you're not.
Well, they
Steve.
could maybe do say they're British or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
Yeah.
it's you're. I guess
I
what
mean,
I'm trying
I
to say
could
is
do it right
eventually you
now,
can get
so-
caught. But
Yeah.
if you are not the main person that's under investigation, like if your great granddaughter that no one really knows about goes there, she could be like, "Oh, my name is Betsy." Oh, okay, see you later,
Sure.
Betsy. But you're like, wait a second. We know you from descriptions of this is the person we're looking for and your name and you can draw maps really well. Like he could have been protecting. his
okay, but
family.
how do you prove that part? Like if
They're not
that's his,
dumb.
no, I'm saying like if that's his right, they're not dumb. So if you were gonna find him and
Mhm.
say, "Draw me a map," why
Why would he draw it? Oh, look, he
Yeah.
can draw this perfectly.
No, I'm saying though, like if
Okay.
this tribe gets
I've
then
never drawn him my life.
yeah, if this tribe then gets like they're living with another tribe and they're sitting there, life is great, and then all of a sudden a storm of 300, 400 troops roll in, and they're like, wait a second, why are all these white people with these Native Americans? And then they start questioning like torture. And
We've
stuff.
been here all the time.
Yeah.
They didn't know that. Like that could have been the easy thing. We've been
Well,
here
how
this
did
whole
you get
time.
here?
The Vikings.
We've been here.
Oh, you've been here?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Because I'm
who's-
sure they didn't.
Who's your leader?
That's not my point right now.
I'm taking the leader,
The
and
Spanish.
then I'm gonna start cutting your toes off one by one until you start talking to me.
I guess my point is, if you moved out far enough,
Okay, thank you.
it wouldn't matter because they're not going to find you.
Eventually, they would.
I don't think they'd care.
They didn't start settling the middle of the country until much later.
Well, the white
know.
people.
That's
yeah.
what I mean. You could definitely have hidden.
I think you can hide in
Yeah.
the frontier and
I feel like they
in
would have
the
given up.
I
new
agree. I
country.
agree with the will is a way. You can hide.
Like if you would have passed what is now the state of North Carolina and went into like whatever
There's
Kentucky
nothing there.
or Tennessee, they would have never found it.
Yeah.
no. I think they get lost.
Even if you are
very
the only
easily.
white
They
guy
would
with
give
bright
up
blonde
looking
hair.
because they
I'm just
wouldn't have
saying
the
it would be a
ties to
lot.
do
It would be a
And the
lot
skill.
less of a
Yeah.
search for you if one person went back and said they're all dead or they're all gone.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily arguing that. I'm
Yeah.
arguing the fact that he could have stayed.
Mhm.
He didn't have to go.
Yeah.
Because the only people that really know his face are the people that aren't going to come look for him anyway,
Right.
like physically.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he, like I said, he's giving them credit more credit than he thought they had. But he
Yeah.
was like, listen, as long as I can go back and say, when I
Wait.
got there, they weren't there.
Maybe he left them on purpose.
Maybe.
He
Yeah.
left
Yeah.
them to die.
Yeah.
He only cared about himself.
He's like, I got a
Selfish.
side hole back there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go visit.
I'm
gonna
gonna leave
side
my
chick.
Maybe he
wife and my
maybe
kids here and
met
go back
met
home.
a feisty Spanish chick. and he
Yeah,
went
and the
out.
thing is, I don't think he ever, according to his story, I don't think he ever really went back after the second trip. He kept paying.
went back to America.
Yeah, he kept paying and giving other people some money to
Okay.
then go back and look for these
Well, why-
people.
at that point, why would you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
new life, YOLO.
And just to go back and forth in several months each way, you're
Yeah,
like, I don't
that's
want to do
forever.
that. Again.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's another thing out there. But I just think they relocated.
That's what I think.
They're
Sorry.
like, listen,
I'm sorry
Totally cut
we're
Brioche, not
derailing,
fun.
but it just
yeah,
I want to try to paint as
Too
much
many
of a
questions.
picture
absolutely.
of a
Yeah.
historical reference of this time.
Mhm.
So it's not just like, because I feel like we were talking about earlier, people are going to reference it and be like, oh, well, it's like today. No, it's definitely not like today.
Mm-mm.
There's like very specific erasement of everything that we know
Yeah.
that could have happened back then that
And a
maybe
lot of-
not everyone knows.
There's even a theory that possibly the land that they settled on is all washed away and underwater as well,
Mhm.
because
Atlantis.
Yeah.
hmm
that's another theory. They said that ground where they are could now be underground because of
Right.
the way water has risen and change in climate and everything like that.
And in addition to that, some supernatural theories: alien abduction, zombie apocalypse, and because they supposedly ate other humans, similar to Jamestown. And because of how Native Americans feel about cannibalism, they turn into Wendigos and are rolling around the North Carolina forest. And that is all I have.
Yeah, the alien one is a stretch.
It is a stretch,
It's a
but I like it
stretch.
anyway.
Aliens
a lot of
came and
fun.
abducted them all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
they would have been
Whole
left
civilization.
yeah.
cool technology.
Or someone
behind.
came from another dimension and pulled them all into the
Cannibalism,
dimension.
very possible.
There would have been
Cannibalism
at
is
least
possible,
one
but
left
gross.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You
unless
can't
they
eat
would
yourself.
die.
Yeah.
Unless they got eaten by an
True.
animal.
and then a bear's like, oh, you
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
fat.
There has to be
I-
one, and then there'd be bones.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
cannibalism thing got popular theory because in Jamestown they did find evidence that the settlers of Jamestown during their drought and
Mm.
their starvation period, they ate people.
So-
100% ate people.
Let's go back to the Native Americans for a second. If there was bones, maybe they didn't want them to go to waste because they
They
used
them all.
everything
They did.
Yeah.
Yes,
when
that's
it
a
came
good
to
point.
animals. So they could have very easily been like, oh, these are dead white guys. I'm going to make tools.
I need
Yeah.
a new
And things
soup
like
bowl.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because we don't like white people. Yeah.
I don't think they didn't
I
like
think
white
they
people.
I'm
did.
sure some of them
Okay.
didn't.
But
Yeah.
it's kind of like
You're new. I don't like you.
Yeah.
yeah, well,
I'm sure that
you
was
get new
the-
neighbors.
Massacre my
You know?
people. I don't
Yeah.
like you.
Yeah.
Right.
it wouldn't be American if when someone new came we didn't like them. you
Yeah.
know?
Mm.
But no, I mean if realistically you're a new group of people came, new faces, new skin tone, and they're like, hey, I just hugged that person over there. Now all my village is dead. They're cursed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or hey, we gave them a bunch of free corn and stuff, and then they came and kidnapped our tribal chief and killed him. They're like, Fuck-
Imagine
fuck those
you're a Native
people.
American and you see a redhead for the first time.
yeah,
Imagine that.
Yeah.
You've never seen that before. You're like, let's kill him.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
It's rare.
yeah.
Yeah.
We need
That's
to
what the
take this
first thing a
beast
white
out.
person thought when they seen a Native American or a black person first time. What's that? Kill it. So I'm sure they probably thought the
That's
same
what we
thing.
do
But
now.
not so much kill
Oh,
it. Like,
something new. Let's kill it.
can
Well,
we,
back then it
can
was,
we
it was
enslave it? Is pretty
Yeah.
much their.
well,
their-
nah,
yeah.
it's probably kill it.
All right, so it probably went down. Can we kill it? Yes. We got guns. Can we enslave it? No, they're too feisty. So let's kill it.
Yeah.
Well, here's
If
the
it
thing. Here's the thing
bleeds,
too
we
to
can
think
kill it.
about as well. A lot of people think, oh, you have guns and all this stuff, and you have the leg up. Once again, even though these tribes didn't maybe always get along, they did contact one another, and they would coincide with each other. So it didn't take more than 2 to 3 days for tribes to turn around and say, and get an army of
And I
2,000,
feel like
4,000
they knew the
people,
land.
and be
they
like,
knew.
Right.
cool, you brought 150 people with guns. We have
Yeah.
4,000
Well,
people.
See, and we gotta like break this down a little bit more because when we say guns, it's not in our world where you got 100 clips or
Yeah.
more.
You
No.
one
When
shot.
we're
One
talking
Muzzle
Civil War,
loaders.
hold on. This is the Civil War reference. A good shot could shoot 3 bullets in a minute
Mhm.
with the reload. They didn't have that technology 100 and some plus years before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
it's
you
even
could shoot
worse.
several arrows.
And a-
Right.
Yes,
And,
bow.
would a bow would your
Or throw
shot
a
actually
tomahawk.
take someone out?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because
They would probably like even with the Civil War,
they can hide.
people died more of
Mhm.
infection than they
Mhm.
did the actual bullet.
Yeah.
So
So if you get shot, you're like, fuck. Your life's on the line. You're gonna keep
Okay.
charging.
Yeah.
If it's especially if they put you down.
right. So that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't put guns because they have guns as a higher thing. I'm sure people do, but I really don't see that.
especially back then. No.
yeah.
No.
Yeah. So I mean, the whole idea of the lost colony they're lost because John White couldn't find them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
He
that's
left them
Yeah.
and then came back
and then he
forgot
came
where
back and they're
left
like,
it. Where did they go?
they clearly
I
said
lost them.
Croatoan. They're right up there, and then everyone's
Like,
like,
what if they found another island that the Spanish did?
What
that
if
was,
he
that
just,
they
like,
left
came-
and he goes, oh, this is it. They're
Yeah.
gone.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, what
Yeah.
if he just came back to the wrong place? It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know where everybody is.
He didn't have GPS, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, turn here at this.
Yeah.
I know it's an island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be any
And
island.
he,
There's
he winds
multiple.
up in
off the
Jamaica.
off the coast of North Carolina. There is a lot of islands.
I bet
Yes,
there is,
the
yeah.
Outer Banks,
The
for
Outer Banks.
example,
Yeah.
which is where they think they went.
Yeah.
Maybe he went to India.
Ah,
Yeah.
He found India.
Maybe Jamaica.
He went right through
Yeah.
Japan and Asia.
Yes. Neither of them are far.
So it's a very, very interesting story. I know a lot of my research I got from podcasts. I was trying to find. So I
I
did it.
remember I
by-
watched a documentary years ago.
I
I
fucking
watched a couple videos. There was one that was like on the History Channel.
yeah.
I read a whole bunch of
Um,
articles for mine. Tons of articles.
I wish I can I figured out how to do it on my app the other day
Mhm.
where I can pull it up and it tells me like the most recent ones I listened to.
Oh, okay.
But now I don't.
So I use iTunes, so I can't help.
There's a good
Yeah.
one. Somebody named Amy. I think she does a podcast, but I also read one of her articles. Power something or other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think she does a podcast, but like I said, I read her article. I did not listen to the podcast.
I don't think there was any. I don't think there was aliens. It definitely wasn't.
No,
zombies,
I don't think it was
because there would have been one left.
Right.
Yeah,
One.
zombies are so
And the
ridiculous.
zombies would be like, they would
Yeah.
still be
But-
there.
Yeah.
At
Yeah,
the same time,
I just
maybe
like-
to them they were zombies if they were
I
eating
mean,
people.
technically, if you're,
Like
if
cannibals,
you're
yeah.
a cannibal, by definition, you're a zombie, right?
Yes.
No, you're not dead.
No, you're not dead.
Zombies
Oh
are
yeah,
dead.
Mm.
living dead.
They also
yeah.
didn't have the word zombie
Yeah.
either, so you can't.
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't think that was invented.
Or what do they
call it?
70s,
Walkers.
60s.
Walkers, yeah. I don't know. I think they just moved. Like maybe they ran out of
Moved,
food
yeah,
and
and
didn't
went
know.
with the Native
And
Americans.
yeah, like I would if I went to a different place and then I was like, shit, I don't know how
Because
to
let's
live
be
like
honest,
this.
I'm sure someone like, hey,
Yeah.
they're pretty hot. You know, like some of them were
Well,
like, you know,
They're like, Mom, how are we gonna ever get them to like us?
yeah, yeah. I mean, you
Well,
know,
I-
they weren't all
Put
ugly.
the leg out on the road like you're hitchhiking.
I just feel like if I came to a new place and then I was like, well, I'm hungry and I can't find any food, but they seem nice and they're gonna teach me how to find food. Like,
Billy
I
said,
would
"How
go
long
for
did
them.
How hard did they look for him? Maybe they didn't like him when he left, and then they hid when they all heard he was coming
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, they
Like, he's
could,
out
they could
there-
have. They
He's
out
felt
there
lazy
deserted.
as fuck. If we hide for 3 minutes, he'll fucking turn around and go home.
like
Like,
he's out there on the boat singing and they're just hiding behind the rock.
I was gonna say
Ooh, he
they're in a
might leave
bush
us.
like
Put that
6
fucking
feet
fire up.
away, and they're like, "Don't you fucking say a
Yeah.
word, Virginia!
We're done
Don't
with
you
his
cry.
ass.
Don't you cry on me!"
put that fucking fire out. They're back.
We don't want their help. He
That's
deserted
why they
us
saw
for
the
3
smoke.
years.
They quick tried to put the fire out.
Yeah, I think they just probably joined with one of the friendlier tribes and thought
well.
that was their best
Yeah.
Time to
choice.
say
for
hey, I'm
survival.
gonna head back. Roll.
Yeah.
Oh, I also had another thing. So when we were talking about the rocks that they okay, that's probably not a quick process to carve on the rocks.
No.
And they carved, we're being attacked. by the Native Americans. Oh, I don't think you have time to carve that on a rock
Well, he
when
didn't-
you're being
I think it was
attacked.
done later.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
she like did it like a living diary, but like later.
But why on
So
stone?
she's like Anne Frank.
because
She's just like
because a
hiding
lot of the stuff
somewhere.
they would
Yeah.
write on back then was slate. A lot of even when they would do early maps and stuff, a lot of it was on especially if they couldn't weave cloth to write and draw on, they would write on slate.
Okay.
Right,
I just-
one of the houses that's
Because
built.
one of the things that was very popular with John White that he would also teach his people, and one of the things they found in one of the tribes was a piece of slate with initials on it that it had W or M, but it could have just been a W if they just held it the other way.
Yeah.
Right.
But that was one of John White's big things when he would write. He would always write on slate.
Yeah.
John White sounds fishy.
John White.
So I listened to the podcast as it's playing. I didn't want that to happen.
No.
The Unexplained Mysteries podcast. They had 2 parts on Roanoke, which are really good. I listened to what's this one called? The Stuff You Missed in History Class, Roanoke. I listened to the podcast Supernatural with Ashley Flowers.
Oh, that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah, I
Yeah, her.
listened to The Stuff They Don't Want You to Know, The Last Colony of Roanoke. And yeah, so I listened to like 4 or 5 different podcasts on it. And they were all really good. It is a really fun story. I mean, we kind of only scratched the surface. There's way more in depth when it comes to the history of the first time they went down there and a lot more details. And a lot of it is foggy. And the reason I was saying before, like with the tree is tough because even to this day, they can't say like, well, this is the land where the original colony was, because they don't really know.
Yeah.
Because they're like, is it underwater? Is it in this location? Is it this location? They have no idea where that original colony was.
It's possible it moved around a lot too, because maybe they had to move around to survive.
Yeah.
Maybe the terrain wasn't great.
And one of the things that's very well documented is their houses were designed to be able to be taken apart and put back together very quickly.
Okay. So while we're on that, what if they all did die? Native Americans ripped the thing apart and used whatever they could.
Sure, absolutely.
Why
Yeah.
wouldn't they?
So
I can-
they
I
don't
would-
necessarily have to have moved or anything for that stuff to have been gone.
Yeah.
No one really knows.
Like,
Yeah.
right.
The smoke is strange, where he said he's seen smoke and then they came back the next day. But he didn't really
he could be lying too.
he didn't really report on finding like activity recently
Right.
either.
And also, too, it would make sense that why the weapons would be gone. Or, I mean, still there. Because why would Native Americans need guns that they don't have
Mhm.
gunpowder for?
They don't
Or
use
don't know
them.
how to
Or if
use-
you're like, do
they're
we
not
take this
going
gun
to.
or do we take the lumber that
That's
we
what I
can build our
mean.
next shelter?
Like,
Yeah.
maybe it's not necessarily them moving. It was someone else came in and was like, well, what can we do with this?
And they don't
we need
know
this other
guns.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic.
No one knows.
No one knows.
And something could have been written down, and then that got lost, and then
Mhm.
Right.
so,
I feel like the tree thing is still a little sketchy because like
Well, the first one just said crow, and then like, how do you spell it? Fuck it, I
Yeah.
quit. And then the second one's like, I'll write it on this tree, Billy.
There's like 6 trees with different spellings on it as you go. It's like, fuck, I fucked up again.
one says Josh.
Well, they could have also been doing that intentionally, especially if they don't
True.
want England to know where they're at for different reasons.
Yeah, get them off their trail.
Yeah, throw them off and confuse
They should have
them.
put Russia on a tree. Whoa!
I don't think they
We
knew.
really got to get far.
Did they even? I don't know if they interacted with Russia.
Is this a tree you said you've seen?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not-
I don't know what that is, but that's the one I saw.
I mean, there's no way they could have cut the tree down and said, "Oh, let's cut that down." And
The
put some-"
recreation of the tree inscribed. Yeah. Yeah.
I did read that it's a huge tourist attraction and that they connect 2 islands down there. Like,
So there's a road that you can go between the 2 islands.
Oh,
yeah, and you can go.
travel.
I'm
yeah, you
sure
can
it's
go
probably
visit it.
cool to see.
Yeah. I'd go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a fun little. So this was also used in American Horror Story. The episode "Birth" relates to the fictional legend in the lost colonist mystery during that American Horror Story Roanoke.
That's my least favorite season.
Oh, I actually really liked that season. Yeah, I thought it was really good.
It's in the Sleepy Hollow TV show.
The
Yes, it
Sleepy
is.
Hollow, Yep.
There's also a Supernatural episode that references it in season 2.
I don't know if I got that.
The
I can't remember.
So while he's looking, how many seasons are there Supernatural?
A lot.
15.
15.
432.
That's what I thought. Because the Blu-ray's on pre-order right now on Best Buy, and it's like $289. And I was like,
Oh.
that's actually not bad for 15 seasons.
And at
And
20
Blu-ray.
20
Yeah.
episodes a season. just
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, a
So
little
for the
over
writer's
20.
strike,
And you
probably
get a
had less?
digital with it.
Oh wow.
So it's like, it's not bad. Sorry to derail on that.
No, you're
'cause
good.
that's just
No.
random.
Love
Have you
that
watched
show.
it? You didn't watch any?
I watched
Oh, the
Scooby-Doo
Scooby-Doo.
episode, and I watched the one where the drawings come to life.
I watched
Yes.
the Miz
I don't know if
episode
I've seen
and like
that one.
one werewolf episode.
Okay.
I have to start the last season finally.
I've seen a bunch.
I
like,
watched
I've
Modern
most, I
Family.
think.
I
I
can't,
didn't watch
come
any.
on.
I didn't watch any.
I can't
It's a
stop watching.
fantastic show.
I'll tell you
It's
what,
good.
it's a good show. It's not fucking with The Office.
No.
So the Modern Family, you can. It's
Hey, let's save that for.
real quick. No,
Yeah, that's not this show.
it's-
Yeah, that's not this show though.
Yeah. Did they do an episode in Roanoke?
yeah, they
Yeah.
did.
No.
Yeah, the one time
I watched all the episodes. They did
Yeah,
not.
what episode was that
Yeah.
when they were in Africa
just trying
or
to, and just trying to milk
on
it
a
here.
safari?
It's a
'Cause
good. It's a
that is
good
an actual
comfort show.
episode.
You can put it on. You can enjoy it. You can pick up an episode at any point in the show
Yeah.
and watch it, and you don't need to see the first one before it or the one
Right.
after
That's
it.
true.
Same with The Office, but I mean, it does reward you if you do watch them all. But I think continuity wise, I enjoy The Office more. But Modern Family is a very good show.
It
Very,
is.
very good show.
No comedy tops The Office, and that's that.
Parks and Rec is close.
Shut up.
Parks and Rec is really close.
But that
It's
has
not
nothing to
good
do
and
with
it's not
Roanoke.
Yeah.
No.
doesn't-
So
None of that
that's our topic for
Yes.
Roanoke. Bree, what do you got to plug?
I always forget about
Oh,
the
so
part.
I wore,
What's Fried Eggs coming?
I don't know, I just wore like cute little Pura Vida bracelets here with a little moon. It came as a set.
Cute.
Yeah, Pura Vida. Check them out online. They have great little bracelets. Good ring sets.
They just started doing clothes now.
Oh, did they start doing clothes? I'll have to look at that.
What shirt are you wearing today?
This is from Tea Turtle.
And it just says, "I believe in what?
No, it's
Oh, believe in yourself."
Believe in Yourself. It has a cute little alien on it.
Sitting on a bench like Forrest Gump.
Yep. But I like it because I wore it because one of the crazy theories is they were abducted by aliens. I thought this is perfect for today. So I went with a sun and a moon and star theme with my alien.
Nikolai, what do you got to plug?
Shocker. Fried Rags. So April 23rd, they're coming out with their Hannibal TV show line. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I never seen the show, so
Oh, it's a really good show.
Yeah.
No, it's a
Um,
big Hannibal Buress line.
it's a whole show on Hannibal Buress.
Well, yeah.
Well, you're wearing the shirt.
Um,
You'll see in photos.
yeah.
You're wearing your Invisible Man shirt.
Yes.
We got one photo from John.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're
we
gonna,
did?
we're gonna
Oh,
post.
cool.
Yeah, very soon. I'm just kind of waiting to see if we get a second photo of actual
Jessica.
from that is actually Claude's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So we reunited her with her dad's newest merch line, which is kind of
Yeah.
exciting.
And it's
Um,
all officially licensed.
It's officially licensed. You can't really see your dad's face because it's invisible.
Yep.
Nailed
See,
it.
Shirts invisible.
that's actually what happened in Roanoke. They
all turned
went
invisible.
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 Yeah. That's why I wore the shirt tonight. I was like, this is perfect.
They all gained
They were
invisibility
missing.
powers.
He's
From
missing.
They're all
aliens.
naked.
They got
Yeah.
bit by a spider and
No, aliens. Aliens gave it to them.
Aliens gave them the visibility power.
Yeah.
That's right. Not abduction.
They have invisibility cloaks.
Yes. Andy, what do you got?
So I will advertise another podcast about similar stuff called the Ectoplasm Show, and they often talk about UFOs and cryptids and stuff like that.
Nice.
It's two guys, so it's very enjoyable. Ectoplasm Show.
All right. Heidi.
in
the mic.
She's just gonna hum.
I was thinking. I don't know.
And if you want to find out more about I Don't Know,
Yeah.
go to idon'tknow.com.
The story of my life. Heidi, what are we
My
doing?
life.
I don't know. What do you want to eat? I don't know. What do you want? I don't know.
I don't know. I just don't know.
And check out the rest of the IWP network. Make sure I don't have them up right now, but I will update
Okay.
our links tree for Harry's stuff. I am wearing Willow. She's
Willow Nightingale.
Willow Nightingale. She's an independent
Okay.
wrestler. It says the Babe with the Power, or was it Babe? Yeah, Babe with the Power.
That's
And then it says
Labyrinth.
I support solidarity with, and then it goes on with Black Power, Girl Power, LGBT Power, Power of the People, Power of
He is
the
currently
Power
reading
of
this upside
Knowledge.
down.
Power in numbers, power in unity, and the power to change the world.
That's
She's
cute.
very, very talented. Got to see her at the Leapfrog Live. Very, very talented, very cool. I like the message on her shirt, and I like to support independent wrestling. So that's the t-shirt I'm wearing tonight. I'm also wearing, with no correlation, what you said about I wore it because the alien thing, and then I realized I'm wearing my brand new Washington football team hat, which formerly was a Native American team.
Mhm.
And
And they disappeared quite like
and they disappeared
Yes,
as
they
well.
did.
Yes,
Good.
they are.
Bye.
A couple hundred years ago. I mean, from now, well, maybe we won't tell their story.
Yeah,
Good.
Very possible.
there's too much
Can't
time.
stand them.
Too much time went fast.
Good riddance.
She's just bitter because the team swept her this year.
I'm not bitter because of that.
The
They
no
just,
names.
They just suck. They just suck.
They suck, but they beat your team twice.
All
That's
right,
'cause
this
Dak
isn't a
Prescott's
football
out.
show.
Yeah.
Sorry.
With
Yeah.
no name.
Belong.
With no name. You lost to a team with
Nice
no name.
tie-in, though.
They all do the same thing. play football. If then
Yeah.
tomorrow you woke up and both teams were switched all members,
I
they're
would
still the
die
same.
slowly. I
oh,
would need to be brought back to life.
Yes, one might be better than the other one, but they do the same thing.
They do. They
I'd be-
both throw balls. They
Yeah.
both hit people.
Catch balls.
Yeah.
I mean, anything you like can all do the same thing as well.
Sure.
Okay.
Every
Yes,
po- every
but
porn-
without personality.
Every porn star does the same thing.
No, that's true.
No,
but some
they
have
have
personality.
personality.
Yeah, some personality.
Some do it with an
Yes,
award-winning
so does
smile.
Dak
Some
Prescott.
do it with no teeth.
Anyway.
Hey, that porn box is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, before we do that, I think before we do the Patreon episode, where I think we'll end this live and we'll go live and do the unboxings and then do the Patreon.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we can have
Yeah.
snacks.
Yeah. So we're gonna have some
Snacks are
snacks. Thank you once again, everyone in the chat. Say thank you to Harry. Send him a message. Show him love.
Bye, Harry.
Thanks,
Get
Harry.
his,
Thank you.
get in his DMs and have some fun here.
Or just
Uh,
thank them and that's it.
Make sure you guys share
Don't be
this
weird.
episode and let people
Yeah, we
know
don't
we're a
like
thing. We'll see you guys next
Like
time.
fun weird.
We're out of here.